Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin Mailo, one of the co-hosts of the Physician Empowerment Podcast. At Physician Empowerment, we're dedicated to improving the lives of Canadian physicians, personally, professionally, and financially. If you're loving what you're listening to, let us know. We always want to hear your feedback. Connect with us. If you want to go further, we've got outstanding programming both in person and online. So look us up. But regardless, we hope you really enjoy this episode. Hi, everyone. Very glad to have you on the show tonight. This evening, we feature a webinar interview of Dr. Adenike Olowu and her husband, Daniel Ashaolu. And Nike and Daniel have had an incredible journey with us. They're part of our masterclass. So if you're interested in hearing more, do let us know. But Nike is a full-time family physician, and her husband, Daniel, essentially manages their growing real estate portfolio. Very active, very entrepreneurial. And Wing is going to be interviewing them a little bit about their journey. And they actually spoke at our conference at this year's event in Toronto. So it's great to hear it. It's great to share it because it's so inspiring in terms of coming to Canada, setting up practice, and then not only thriving, but really soaring. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to you, Wing, and let you take it from here.
Right on. Okay, so welcome everyone to this very exciting episode of Medical Entrepreneurship. We interview different colleagues at different stages of their practice life, and we're very excited to have Nike and Daniel, and we get to know them a little bit. So first of all, they're not from Canada. They are imports like me, except I came exactly 40 years ago. And they came from a different continent, quite far away. So Nike, I know you're an IMG, International Medical Graduate. IMG, that's the new term that we use. And so tell me about your family of origin, your country of origin, and all that before you came to Canada.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm glad for this opportunity to be here. It's very exciting to be able to share our story. My name is Adenike Ashaolu. Olowu is my maiden name. So I'm from Nigeria. That's from West Africa. So I went to medical school in University of Ibadan, and that's from 2001 to 2000. I graduated in 2001, actually. And then after that, I went on to do my residency in University College Hospital Ibadan. And after that, I went on to do a little bit of work in Nigeria before we came to Canada in 2017. So my family, well, my mom was a nurse. My brother is a doctor. And I've always wanted to be a doctor from when I was a little kid. And I'm happy that I had the opportunity to get that done. So that's my brief story.
So 2017, so you were already in practice back home, right?
Yes. I practiced for about 6 years.
Right.
Before I came to Canada in 2017.
Right.
Yeah, as an IMG. And so when I came to Canada, we had the hurdle of having to now regularize your practice so that you're able to work here.
Right. Right.
So between 2017 when we came and 2019, it was bang exams, QE1, QE2, and all of that. Fortunately, I was able to get a spot. And by January of 2019, I started to practice. I started my return of service program with Alberta government. I was out in Elk Point. And by May, I started my own practice in the community. And it's been a journey so far.
Right on. So you just finished that, right? So tell us where you're at. So now, for people, including myself, who don't know where Elk Point is, Elk Point is in rural Alberta, about a couple hours away from Edmonton, right?
It's about 2.5 hours drive from Edmonton.
Right.
It's the 1,500 people community, population-wise.
Wow.
Quite small.
Truly a small town.
Don't be deceived because we serve about 5,000 to 6,000 population. We're surrounded by reserves. We have so many reserves, and that's where our patients' population actually come from. So
right. So in fact, there are many IMGs, and there's absolutely no shortage of Nigerians.
Yeah, no.
At my work, I'm surrounded by Nigerians. To my left, to my right, at my office, they're both Nigerians.
Yeah.
And you guys are all very entrepreneurial, very lively, and you party well.
Yes.
Okay, so
right.
Yeah.
okay, and then here's Daniel. Okay, so tell us about the family. Like, so you guys met back home, right? And how many kids have you? How did you guys meet? How many kids? Like, have you got married? How many kids have you guys got? And how old are they?
Good evening, everyone. My name
Yes.
is Daniel Ashaolu. So, yeah, we've been married for 21 years, and we got 3 kids, 1 boy, 2 girls. They were all born in the month of August.
Wow.
The girls were born the same day of the month, August
Wow.
15, August 15,
Wow.
and the boy was August 31. So
Wow.
people ask a lot of questions. How did you guys do it? We know you were a project manager. Did you project manage that? Like, no, it just happened.
Timing is everything.
Timing, 3 elements in project management. You have the time, you have the cost, and you have the quality. So time is one of the major. So yeah, and we were all from, well, the boy is in the university now. The girls are going through high school, and it's been a very wonderful journey.
Wonderful. So when you guys could have picked anywhere in the world, why Canada and why Alberta?
Okay, so Alberta did not just come all of a sudden. So before we came to Canada, it's something we've thought about even before taking those steps. So she used to work as a local consultant in Chevron back in Nigeria, and then she will say, Daniel, I need choices. I need choices. I'm like, what kind of choice do you need? You doing good. You have a good job. I have a fantastic job. No issues. So she's focused on, we need to be able to have choices. This does not give us the kind of choices we want. So we started thinking about, okay, where can we go? And we looked at various places. And we thought, okay, Canada is one place where you could raise a family, and your mind will kind of be at rest raising your family in Canada, and that has been our experience since we came. So we decided Canada after looking at a few pros and cons, and then we settled on this place. From that point, it's all planning and planning and planning.
Right on. So once you guys found Alberta, you're here a few years. So are you happy? Any regrets? Any challenges?
No regrets. Do you want to talk about?
No. So we landed in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
For a year, and that was the year I was writing exams.
Right.
He was working and supporting the family financially. So he did all of that to help me get started. Then he got a job in Winnipeg, and we had to move. We were in Winnipeg for over a year. And I remember when I was trying to look for opportunities, I can't remember the number of applications I put out there for a place to, offer me a job. And lo and behold, this tiny settlement decided to offer me a job. And that was how we ended up in Elk Point. And since we've been here, I must say it's been great. Like he said, that I don't like being boxed in. I like to have options, right? And I found that being in Canada, it's a land of opportunity, and we're still discovering, many, many things we can do. Since we've been here, I'll say God has been good to us. He's been gracious, and He has prospered everything we've done. So there's no iota of regrets. I'm excited. I'm happy we made the choice and the decision when we did.
Right.
It's great all the way, yeah.
So I'll get back to the choice system. One observation, right? So I'm an immigrant myself, right? And our kids are all born here, right? So, but most Canadians, I've been Canadian for 40 years, right? Most people whine about stuff, right? But sometimes an outsider would come and say, hey, this is the land of opportunity, because where they came from. they ain't got them, right? So, and that's why there are opportunities that are here that people just take for granted, right?
Yeah.
Now, so while you were working at L Point, is it true that your family was actually staying in Greater Edmonton, which is like the 2.5 hours away?
No, so it didn't start out that way. When I came 2019, the kids came with me.
Oh.
Yeah, so I couldn't trust Daniel to look after them.
Oh, okay.
honestly, I couldn't trust myself not to be
Right.
with them. So they were with me. And
Right.
the community had an excellent school. They had only one elementary and one high school, but it was very great. And they welcomed my kids. They loved us. It was a wonderful experience. We really fitted into the community quite quickly. So they were with me till last year October. So they were with me for 4.5 years out of the 5. But at some point, because my kids seem to be a little bit of higher achievers, at least the first two, they felt that they were like a big fish in a little pond.
Right.
Especially my daughter, she's like, I can't find people of like minds who would challenge me to aspire to greater things. So she said, high school, mom, I'm going to the best school in Canada. So she did her research and she told us there was a school in Toronto.
Wow.
And there was Old Schooner in Edmonton.
Edmonton, yeah. It's pretty renowned.
Okay, this is what I need to get in. And she started to do her homework. And she got in, she did the exams, she did well, she got admission. So when she did that, I couldn't stop her and say, you have to stay. So they came October last year, last session. And then I had I think 6 more months for my return of service to end. So I stayed alone at that time. They came and they were with their dad. And eventually I joined them like 5 months ago.
Right. So talking about choices, your kids are all about opportunity and choices, right? Yes. That's what we tell kids. The world is your oyster. You go to Africa, you can go to Australia. Give us a reason to go
anywhere.
far.
I remember when we were about to leave Nigeria, well, they've always been high achievers, even right from Nigeria. And I remember telling the boy that, okay, now we are going to Canada. You're going to be meeting a lot of people from different parts of the world, people that have deep experience, deep knowledge and all that, and you will be competing in this circle. So you need to prove yourself and show them that you are from Nigeria. Now, one thing about Nigerians is that, I'm not being conservative or, being superfluous when I'm saying this. Nigerians have a very strong drive. If you see Nigerians around, there is that drive to succeed, to do well and to compete. Yes. And that is something we kind of try to instill in the kids even before we came. So they knew, okay, we are going there. We need to prove our mettle, and that's exactly what they did.
Good for you. Good for you as parents. Now, so that's a good segue. How about being competitive and drive? So for you, Nike, medicine is not enough. You also do other stuff, man. So tell us about what other choices you got other than medicine.
Yeah, so I've always been, I had this entrepreneurial, flair right from even Nigeria. So when we came to Canada and we had the opportunity to go into real estate, it was just like a kid in Candyland, right? And fortunately, because we are physicians, and because I'm a physician, I had access to funds that was crazy. As in, it's a lot of, banks are pulling at you to do this, and the deals. It's where we come from, it's a lot more difficult to get into transacting business because you can't trust these people. Things are not kind of structured. But here everything is structured. Nobody is out to cheat you. Well, there's some people who can cheat you, but if you follow the due process, there's a pathway. You have access to the funds, the buildings are there, the knowledge is there. It was a no-brainer for us, right? So we just went into that and we started small. If I would start, we I must quickly say something that because my husband is a non-physician, we had to get on the same page. We had to decide that this is what we want to do. And coming to that agreement, it's a very crucial part of this journey in the success.
So let's stop right there. So what kind of agreement did you have? Did you guys sign a treaty or something?
No, we didn't have to sign a treaty. When we came in 2019, I must say, with all the cost of immigration and the exams we had to write, we were actually in debt. And so 2017, sorry. And so that was the first thing we sat down, and that's been our practice since we, been in Nigeria. We sit down, even though we earn money separately, we have a common spreadsheet where we allocate funds, right? So it doesn't matter how the money comes in. We decide this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, and that is how we go for it after we take out the basics that we both need. So we sat down and say, okay, this first year, 2019, when we started to work, we're going to pay off debt. So we paid off debt. And then we said, okay, 2020, what are we going to do? We said, okay, we're going to buy 2 houses every year as God would help us. And
2 houses per year.
2 houses. That was the decision.
Right.
And so we did. We bought 2 houses 2020, and then the opportunities started to come and come and come. And while that is, it can be intimidating for somebody who has not, been in this environment. You don't know how things work. We, in our downtime, we listen, we consume real estate podcast information, and I'm sure that's how I found physician empowerment. It was our search for knowledge. When I listen to something and it's interesting, I said, Daddy, you have to listen to this. So that my 2.5-hour commute from Elk Point every week was a schooling session. I'm always listening to stuff and listening to, and podcasts and getting information and educating myself, because honestly, we've never done this before. It could be scary, and we could easily go into analysis paralysis. But because I've heard people talk about this over and over, and then when meeting with people like Wink, having a one-on-one discussion, they said we've done this, like, let's give it a shot. So we did the first one and it worked, and then we did the second one and it worked, and so it just became a snowball from there.
Right on. So fast forward now. So tell us your journey in the real estate side and then outside of real estate.
Do you want Daniel to talk about the real estate side?
Sure. Yeah. Daniel, jump in.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been an interesting journey. For real estate, we started basically 2019. We took the first possession June 2020. And the first one was June 2nd, 2020. That was in Acton in Ontario. And then the second one was June 2020. That was in Edmonton. So that became our primary residence. And that was the first 2 properties we got. Then 2021, we started increasing based on revenue and the opportunities out there. So that's how we expanded. Today, we have like 10 units, and we split the business. So I'm a numbers person. So if you're going to do anything, if there is opportunity, anything like that, I will look at the numbers, make sure everything checks out, make sure we cash flow after this, because one of our principles was that once you put in the first amount, we're not going to, the down payment, we're not putting in $1 in this property anymore. The property should be able to take care of itself. So before we buy a property, I go through all the calculations and make sure that once this money goes in, then we're not putting anything in. And if the numbers don't work, no matter how nice or how beautiful or how well situated the property is, no emotions, we just pass it on. So everything is purely based on the numbers. And then that was how we were able to actually scale. Because once we get one down, we don't have to, we can pull the monies we have for something else. So today we have 10 units. We have we also run Airbnb. We have 10 Airbnbs now. We have like 4 rentals today. So in terms of doors, it's almost like around 15, 16 doors. But in terms of properties and units, it's like 10 units today.
Right on. So now short-term rental or Airbnb is a beast of its own, right? And some provinces, they got legislated out. So how do you guys find long-term versus short-term rental as a landlord?
So one thing, like I said, I rest a lot on the numbers. So one of the things we did back in 2021, 2022. So when we bought the first property in 2020, we looked up Airbnb and then we tried to see how is this going to work in terms of revenue. So I converted the basement into Airbnb since it's already a legal suite, and we started working on that. Now, what I did with the basement was to use it as a lab to understand how Airbnb works, what are the things that we can put in to optimize. The goal has always been optimize and automate so that we have minimal involvement or minimal input after it's set up. So we use the basement to do that. Now, once we got a handle of that, the next thing was to determine which is better. Is it Airbnb or long-term? Mm-hmm. So we bought a duplex in Edmonton, the same unit. And what I did at the time was one half of it was for short-term rentals and the other half was for long-term rentals. Based on the going market rate for long-term rentals, we rented out the 2 units and then we set up the Airbnb on the other units. And we ran that for a year. And I looked at the numbers, the revenues minus cost, against the revenue of the other one. And the Airbnb performed way better, I think around 20-25% better than the long term. So that set the pace for the Airbnb strategy. And because we've done a lot of optimization from the basement, we were able to actually replicate that optimization in all the other units that we have. So that way, minimal involvement as much as possible, but we're still to get people through the doors.
Right. So now Airbnb, of course, a lot of our listeners are not from Alberta, right? So Alberta, I think, still the land of milk and honey. Actually, is the land of oil and money. So we can still do the short-term rentals, and so I think the take-home message is still alive and well in Alberta, right? So for those of you who want to play in that game, even though you may not be able to play it in BC or Ontario, you can still play it in Alberta, right? If you hit the right market. But you guys didn't just stop there, right? You guys are moving on to urban infills. Tell us more about the exciting phase of that.
So, yeah, it's still Daniel. So let me say this upfront, that the way we split the roles, I get the revenue,
right,
and I do the I find the opportunities,
right,
and then submit it to him to do the numbers to ratify, and then he goes after. So because I'm a physician, I'm busy. I have that, and he has the numbers. He's a numbers person in this, so it's a partnership, right? So I'm a
really good partnership
partner and prospecting partner, but he does his boots on ground and implementation kind of stuff. So that's how we split the role. So talking about other opportunities that have come, if I may just mention, he'll do more details if you would like to have details. So we had one property that we bought when interest rates was beginning to rise, and it was also an experiment the basement was not completed. Usually our basements we buy houses with completed basement, but this was an older house that needed renovation and all of that. And he got a contractor, he worked with him, and they finished the basement. So we forced appreciation in that house, in that unit. And I think we were able to get it by the time we now refinance the money to get it, we were able to get, about, was it 280?
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a chunk of money
Big chunk of money, man.
Yeah, and that chunk of money is what we now plowed into this opportunity. So we had a friend come over and he said, oh, this CMHC, you only do 5% down. And Daniel just tagged on to it. And within 2 weeks, things were rolling. We were connected with the builder, we were connected with the broker, connected with this, the contracts are signed. And funds was not a problem. We didn't even need to go to the bank because we just refinanced this other, and we had the chunk of money to just plow into that. So he's gone into advanced stage now for the approval from the CMHC, and we're going to be getting 8 plexes, 4 of those, making 32 units coming up in. I think they should dig the ground in a couple of months.
Right.
And they said they can deliver the property in 9 months to 1 year. So that's the thing we're on to right now.
Right on. So these are not just small potato projects anymore, right? You guys are moving into multi-unit. Yeah. So now there's a lot of concepts that I would love to stop that we don't have time today. It's not really a real estate seminar, but actually a little bit of rabbit out of the hat. Kevin and I talk about we are going to do a virtual real estate conference probably in the spring, right? So so we would, because people have different levels of interest in real estate, but you guys are so strong at it. So it's good to share your experience, right, and whet everybody's appetite and to get people's synapses going, right, the brain juice pumping, right? And then, so that's fabulous. So congratulations, you guys. And you didn't just stop there either, right? So Daniel, you did something recently. You quit your cushy job to join this treaty, to fulfill this treaty. So tell us about that gutsy move that you had.
Yeah, it is. So, like I said, before we came to Canada, I had my career in IT and project management. Now, project management is technically like something I was born with, because everything has to be planned. We have to have 2-3 streams of, 2-3 different ways of doing one thing. If something fails, backup plan and stuff like that. So that's the way I've always worked. Now, when I came to Canada, I started working as a project manager. First of all, I worked for the city of Winnipeg, helping them to move all their disaster recovery data to the cloud and all that. Then I came to Edmonton. When the family was settled in Edmonton, I had to move down, and I was working with the Canadian Western Bank. Now, that was a very cushy job, like you said. I was in a senior role, and I was handling very big projects, and I was in league with top officials in the bank. However, before we came, I already had a plan that, you know what, I only want to work for people for 5 years, after which we will be setting up something for ourselves. Now, the details are not clear, but those milestones were already set even before coming into Canada. Now,
so 5 years. That's it, boss. I give you 5 years. Secretly, right?
Yeah, and you see, there were a lot of thought process that went into that. So we left Nigeria. I was 42. She was 40.
Yeah.
And I thought about, the number of years before retirement, what is going to be the pension plan, and all these things. I looked at it and I'm like, okay, there is no way working for an organization will give us the kind of retirement we need. So that already informed my decision as pertaining to working for people. Now, this year, the plan was for 5 years. I ended up spending 6 years and a few months because all the parameters have to be in place for me to get out. But what informed the final straw was the fact that, first of all, the real estate opportunity was beginning to grow. And the requirement to be able to manage the portfolio was equally growing.
Right.
And also, my responsibility in the bank was also growing exponentially. So I was asked to manage some projects that was going to cut across the whole bank and implement some legal changes within all the branches of the bank. Now, this was going to take 3 to 4 years to complete. And I thought to myself, first, I hate not finishing what I start. If I start something, I want to see the end. And I looked at the project and I said to myself, if I go into this project, I will have to finish it. Now, if I'm going to finish this project takes minimum 75% of my time, both during work and after work. Now, is 25% enough for me to manage this portfolio, be present for the family, and also to be able to do all the other things, expectations? And I said to myself, no, it's not going to work. So it's either I quit now or I just run everything through till for another 4 years. Mind you, I just finished my MBA program in the U of A as at the time. So it was a very strenuous 20 months, both for myself and the family.
No kidding.
If I'm going to go into this project, then they are going to see less of me. So I decided, you know what, it's time to, to bite the bullet. But before I did that, I was thinking, what's the opportunity cost of leaving this work? What if I continue to work, what am I going to be missing? So when I checked all that, I decided, you know what, it's better for me to lose this to start and develop my home. Now, aside from that, I run a lot of other things in IT. So I have a company I set up for IT. I'm working with a government in Liberia and all that. So to be able to do all that and still work from 9 to 5 was never going to cut it.
So most people would not think like that, right? 99% of people that I know say, no, I can't afford to do those little stupid little venture, right? And I remember you telling me that what's the opportunity cost of working for the boss, right? It's your own empire, right? So that's what set you guys different, right? That's true entrepreneurship. As you think about staying put doing this, what's the opportunity cost? Because if you keep doing this, you can't do that. So there's a good old adage that I go by: the enemy of best is not worst. The enemy of best is good. Right? We settle for the good and we never get the best.
Absolutely. You need some level of gumption to be able to do that, because where I worked, it was really nice. I have a side office on 28th floor looking across the main street. I have access to all the chiefs. I have a very good salary and all that. So making that decision was tough, but she was very helpful. She said something when I said, you know what, I think it's time to say goodbye to 9 to 5. And one thing she said that really changed everything for me is, whatever you do, I'm behind you. Wow. That caught it, that sealed it for me, that, okay, I know somebody's got my back. No matter what happens, we're going to go through this and we'll get through it.
No, so that's very nice. As a couple, I think the alignment is absolutely crucial. But still, right? Like, I'm sure at Nike, you're flat out as a doctor, right? There's no more hours you can squeeze in, right? Just like I told you, I work 100 hours. How many more hours can you squeeze? So there still is an income loss, right? A lot of us have this paycheck addiction. So as a family, as a unit, how did you guys overcome that sudden drop of that 9 to 5 cushy income?
I'm not for the budget.
Well, for me, the income loss is actually moving from rural to urban.
To urban,
That's actually where the income losses, because the way it is, and with the real estate and all of that, what percentage of what we gross do we actually spend? We're very disciplined couple, right? My car is 14 years old, and I'm very proud of it. So it's not a lot. This might, for physicians, actually, it's not a lot to live a modest life. We don't compare ourselves with the Joneses.
Right.
We do what we want to do based on what we can afford and what our priorities are. So his loss of income is not a big deal for us at all, right? We already spend just a fraction of what we make. So
Right.
yeah, and compared to the time, and I was seeing he was getting stressed. For me, I mean, giving up 150,000 for him to be calm and be available for me and be able to, pray with us and not be stressed and not get high blood pressure. It's for me, it's I won't even think twice about it. So the
Right.
important thing is we're not like in the hamster wheel.
Yes.
We're not. We live a modest life. We don't do too many expensive things. And so we have a lot to invest.
Right.
And then we have not so much, but we have money coming in from the investments we've made over the years. So we're not scared, if you put it that way. We're able to take risk.
Right.
One other thing is, one thing we also did that I actually also looked at was, okay, so if there is a total loss of the revenue, as in if she can't work as a doctor anymore, or, how are we going to be able to survive? Now, I looked at what is the revenue from the real estate today? What is our cash flow like? Is the cash flow equal to what I'm getting in the bank? Or is it 80% of what I'm getting in the bank? And with that understanding, we're like, okay, worst case scenario, we'll make some adjustments, but we will get by. That was something that also helped. Then, like she said, we already have we plan a lot, and we know what we want to do. We prioritize them. So even if we have slush funds, it goes first into P1, priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. So we don't get a slush and say, oh, let's go on vacation or let's go on a cruise. The first question is, what is our target this year? How much are we below target? What can this slush fund take care of? So once we have that and we take care of that, whatsoever is left, then we can have some fun, we can, be happy. But most importantly, we just want to make sure we tick all the boxes for the plan for that year.
Yeah, excellent, right? So you hit your target first, then you say, okay, let's have some fun, right? Versus most mainstream local people, let's have fun, and whatever's left, we'll save it and hope that the public market does magic for us. Right? So that's good. So awesome. So thank you guys for spending time with us. So to conclude, 2 questions. Number 1, what advice would you give to any medical listeners who got bit by the entrepreneurial bug? Busy physicians, busy spouses, non-medical spouse, maybe. What advice would you give them? If they're young, they're starting, they're just scared spitless, what would you advise them?
So I'll say start with the end in mind. So if you don't have a goal, you wouldn't walk towards it and you will never get there. So for instance, I have a goal that by age 55, I should be able to leave medicine. I'm working towards that. He doesn't agree with me, but it's okay. We can agree to disagree. So if you don't set what you want, if you don't tell your money where to go, you will wonder where it went. That's something
that's so good.
I picked up. So if you're young, you're starting out, or the funds are coming in, don't get carried away. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And then set those milestones and walk towards it. So it guides you to put things down. Like real estate is like planting a tree. You're planting a palm tree, right? So you plant it, you water it, let it be there. You keep doing your work. But by the time you are, getting to 50 and you're getting tired, something happens, you look at that, you have an orchard or like a
Plantation.
Yeah, plantation of, and then you can live off of what it is. But if you don't set that as a goal, you look back 20 years has gone by and you're like, where did all the money go?
Yeah.
Right.
One other thing I will add to that is you should, when you have this plan, you'll have to have an agreement with your spouse. The two of you have to be on the same page.
Right.
Because there is this tendency for, couples to chase different dreams. And then it becomes a problem because someone is going in this direction, the other person is going in that direction. So you need to have that summit.
Right.
Where you agree, this is what we want to do. And it's, for some, it's easy. For us, we are both passionate about real estate, so it was easy. Now, not in all cases. So there are instances where you will need to come together, agree, this is what we want. Then it becomes easier for you to plan around what you want to do. So there are instances where one of the principles we had from Nigeria was that if the other party does not agree, you cannot move forward until you have the agreement of both parties.
Wow, that is so important. I couldn't agree more with you guys. And so most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you guys. So one last question. What has the Physician Empowerment Masterclass assisted you in your journey?
So I'll have to answer that.
Okay.
I must say it was a treasure. I can't remember exactly when I met physician empowerment, but it must have been 2-3 years ago. And it's been a wonderful journey. I've attended 2 of the conferences. I listened to the episodes. I can't join in the masterclass a lot of time because I'm on call, but I always listen to the recordings. And I have learned a lot. Each time I speak to Wing has this habit of calling you maybe once every month. How are you doing? He gives you advice from your clinical practice to finances to real estate. He's there like a coach, And each time I talk to him, I feel like I'm standing on the shoulder of giants. It's been invaluable. I can't put a price to how that has helped me, that I have somebody in the field who I can call and say, I have this challenge, can you help me? Whether it's medical, whether it's financial, whether it's real estate, he's there to help. That's one. 2, which is also top-notch, is the physician empowerment links you with credible service provider to build your team. We didn't have time today to talk about the team, like your what are they? Tell me. Your broker,
Brokers,
your banker,
financial,
your financial, making your financial plan and opportunities. There are lots of financial advice out there, which is not, in your best interest. Some people are out to get you, to thrive on your ignorance, right? But they put us in contact with people who are vetted. They have experience with them, and we've worked with quite a number of them. And it's been a game changer in terms of our ability to actually achieve these things and get the best out of it. So those are the main things I have. And also the opportunity to take your family on vacation to wonderful places.
Yes.
And spend time with your family, all company expense paid and less taxes. So that's what I have. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you both, Daniel and Nike. You guys have been an inspiration, and we have had fun with you guys. And we hope, this is what we hope to empower everybody, right? So thank you everyone for joining in this episode, and thank you again for Nike and Daniel. All the best with your unstoppable journey and your momentum. Go places, right? And and you guys are going places, and we believe that rising tides will raise all ships, right? And you guys are on to bigger projects. Next phase, you're probably going to raise some capital, right? I look forward to that stage. And for everyone, we have coming up events. So you guys can join us in Mexico for the upcoming Wealth Summit, Health and Wealth Summit, we call it, in the early 2025. And of course, we're going to have masterclass coming up. Okay, so thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Thank you so much.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Physician Empowerment Podcast. If you're ready to take those next steps in transforming your practice, finances, or personal well-being, then come and join us at phys-empowerment.ca, PHYS empowerment.ca, to learn more about how we can help. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you would share our podcast with a colleague or friend, and head over to Apple Podcasts to give us a 5-star rating and review. If you've got feedback, questions, or suggestions for future episode topics, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to join us and be interviewed and share some of your story, we'd absolutely love that as well. Please send me an email at kmailo@phys-empowerment.ca. Thank you again for listening. Bye.